Good evening, guys. Sorry we're running a little late. We literally just parked. I just parked about a half hour ago. Went into Walmart and got something to eat because I haven't eaten all day. And Poppy just got parked too. We've been running our asses off since about 6 this morning. We read a few of these comments here and then we'll get started. Looks like Life on 18 Wheels was first. That's why he's texting me at 8:01 wanting to know why we're not live yet. That's him. Brian Jett.
That's trucking,
him,
right?
Brian Jess says, "What's up?" Yeah, ask him to start a live channel. See how late he is. He was late coming into the party the other night, as always. Brian Jess says, "What's up, guys? Just got back on the road today after a week. Picked up a 3,000-pound load after a 35-minute deadhead to Orlando, heading to Phoenix. Be listening while I drive." 18 Wheels said, "Orlando, Phoenix, that's a nice run and pretty much running on empty." Yeah, almost too empty for the windy stretch through West Texas into Phoenix, but my trip before going home was a 10,000-pound run from South Georgia to Phoenix, back to Dallas, then to Pompano Beach. Finally hit a broker that runs a trade show freight, which is what I wanted to find. Said he's got a bunch of Vegas runs next week out of Florida, if I can get back in time. 18's asking if he has any broker loads with Landstar. He wants to look into it. He says he doesn't know for sure. So we got 6 people on here. I haven't done a pre-recorded video in a long time. Everybody always wants to know the money. I made about $8,000 for the month of, actually I made about $10,000 for the month of August. I'm going to probably make close to $10,000 this month too. And that's even having a couple shitty weeks in there too. I had 2 shitty weeks in a row, but I still pulled out and did $8,000 to $9,000. So I'm not doing too bad. How about you, Poppy?
Well, I went on vacation. Of course, that was a big goose egg. But let's see. I came back last week. I did 5,900 gross, 5,921. I took home 3,000 and something. That's not, as you know, that's not an every week thing. That was a good week. This week here, I've got, I'm only doing 5 gross, which means I'll take home 2,200, but I'm going to be home tomorrow afternoon, so I'll be home a day early. I don't mind a $5,000 week if I get home and sleep in my bed 3 nights. But if I had to work 6 days for that, obviously I wouldn't be happy. But it's been good. I can't say it enough. We can't say it enough. It's a struggle in trucking right now, dude. It's a struggle. And we're going to talk about that the freight market a little bit tonight. I have friends in high places, and one of my friends told me today he spent all day meeting with customers. He's not with JB Hunt, by the way. He's with one of our competitors. But the guy told him, said, "Well, we're just putting all of our loads on the spot market." He said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "How's that working out for you?" He said, "Oh, it's working out great." He said, "They're kind of pretty much delivering on time." He said, "We're listing the loads on the load board for $1 a quarter a mile, and they're fighting over them." So that's sad. That's really sad. And I told my buddy, I said, "Yeah." I said, "Just let them go ahead and do that." I said, when the motor blows in that piece of crap truck they're riding with 1.5 million miles, they ain't gonna have the money to replace it. But when you're paying your drivers $300 a week salary to run for 7 days, you can haul that cheap freight. So that's kind of where that stands.
It's kind of your super egos and companies like that. That's kind of what they do. Is they run their guys really cheap. We talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, we just got a lot of people over. Well, it's I hate to say it, but I'm just gonna say it. I mean, it just is what it is. The American workers are being put out of business. They're taking our jobs. They're driving down wages. It's really a sad time. I don't know if I told this story before. If I have, please forgive me, but I went into one of our customers up in the Northeast. It's been several months ago now, and I never had been there before. And it was like a maze getting in there to get my bill signed. And so when I came out, I took a wrong turn. I thought I was going outside. I wound up in the cafeteria. And there's about 200 of them fools in there. I mean, I don't know if they was having a safety meeting or if it was orientation. But these American companies ought to be ashamed of themselves for what they're doing to the American workers.
Yep, I agree there. I agree.
So
getting sad is what it is.
I'm not.
That's not just truck driving. That's every profession right now. You know, they're bleeding
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, it's bad, and I try to be diplomatic, and I try to be politically correct and not say everything I think.
Oh, don't lie.
But it's gonna. Well, I do. I say everything I think to you, but I try not to do that in public. But it's going to come to a point, James, where we're the American people. We're going to have to stand up and just speak the truth. And when people get offended, they're just going to have to get offended. I don't know what else to tell them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this woke stuff is crazy, man.
It's gotten this mess because we've let the evil people tell us, the good people, that we need to sit down and shut up and get along. Well, you can see where that's got us. So it's about time to stand up and get our country back. I mean, it really is. I told you before that in a truck stop, I used to tell, I was almost being sarcastic. I used to say 6 out of 10 drivers were not Americans. And I swear, I believe it's 9 out of 10 now. I was in a Love's this morning down in Texas, and I was there I had to wait 30 minutes for a shower, and I was there probably an hour. And inside and outside, I don't think I saw one person in the whole place could speak English. And it wasn't Mexicans. I want to make that clear. You know, it wasn't Mexicans. And the Mexicans, they just want a better life. They just come over here and work and have a family, and they're not trying to kill us. They leave us alone. I mean, they're just good. Most of them's good people. Everyone I've never met a bad one. But now we got issues with this other stuff, man. We got issues. I don't know what's going to happen. I tell you right now, this is all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. But you better quit. You better forget about how Mama raised you. You better forget what your daddy was, your grandpa was, or somebody. You better take these things called your eyes. You better take these things called your ears. And if you got a brain, you better take that. And you better figure out that our country's on the line. It's on the line. So.
No truer statement than what you just said, man.
Freight market is horrible, guys. I preach that every time we come on here. I can't say it enough. It's rough and tough times. We're just all trying to hang on until something gets better, the economy gets better. But having said that, guys, we're making a pretty good living. We're making a pretty good living. So, I don't know. I wasn't on last night, so I'm going to address this, James. And if you've already addressed it, I'm sorry.
You go right ahead.
We've had a couple phone calls lately and text messages. And these aren't trolls. We know who they are. Trying to preach us into hell because we want you to use Brenda and Jeff. We have made no beef about the fact that if you do what we ask you to do, we're going to get a small referral bonus off of you. We never started this trucking show on this YouTube channel to recruit. We're still not here to recruit. We got on here to talk about trucking and the problems with trucking and the life of trucking. And as we told people that we were doing okay, people wanted to come. We've had this discussion before. And a guy said to you yesterday, well, I'm not coming because I didn't know you was getting a referral bonus. And if you're getting a referral bonus, you'll lie and you'll say anything to get me to come over there. That's about the dumbest, moronic thing I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth. You haven't watched this show at all. Because if you've watched this show, I've give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's been nights on here that I absolutely blistered JB Hunt. I never said anything that wasn't true, but I blistered them. I sure didn't hold back. And so to say that we come on here and lie to people to get a little old small referral bonus is absolutely absurd, and it's insulting. Because when you come over here, if you do what we ask you to do, one of the things I do is I funnel you through my team. We have teams over here. So I make sure you come in on my team so that I can give you the care and the help that you need and get you the right people that's on my team, from managers to what you would call a dispatcher. We don't have a dispatcher, but we have a coordinator, which you would call a dispatcher. They don't decide our loads. They don't book any loads for us unless we ask for help. But I have a good team. I feel like I have a great team. And so if you come and do the right things, I can funnel you over here. I can't help you if you go to another team and you got a coordinator that's there to draw a paycheck. We call it corporate welfare. They draw a paycheck every week and they do absolutely nothing. They're worthless. Now, I'm going to clarify again. Do we have worthless people at JB Hunt? We sure do. But you know what? So does every company. You can't have a company this big and not have good people, medium people, and bad people. And it's the same thing with the drivers. Do we have bad drivers over here? You don't. Okay? You can't have 1,400 drivers and not have some bad apples. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't come here just because we have people that shouldn't work here. You can't go anywhere that everybody's perfect. I've said before, I'm not perfect. There's days I'm sure they wish I wasn't here because I get up their hind end when they need it. But they let me stay here. They ain't fired me yet. They put up with my crap so I can put up with a little bit of theirs, The biggest problem I face right now is not JB Hunt. It's this daggone sorry economy. It's horrible. Horrible. If you think it's bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet if you go to the polls November 5th and make a stupid move. You better wake up and pull your head out of your butt crack and take care of your family. Now, I don't know how much more blunt I can be, but JB Hunt's a good company. They're not a perfect company. I'm not a perfect driver. But if you want to come here, James and I will walk on glass and run through flames of fire to try to make sure you succeed. James, tell them, so I don't do all the talking, tell them how many drivers we've had fail out of 9. Go ahead and tell them.
0.
We've
had a couple drivers
that's
had some
correct.
Bad weeks, but they pick it up the following week. We've had no.
You're gonna have bad weeks. You're gonna have $4,800 weeks. Okay, our goal's $5,000. You're gonna have $4,800 weeks, but you're gonna turn around. Mike, most people don't even know who these people are, so I'm gonna talk about them. Mike's got a $6,100 week this week. Ron's got a $6,300 week this week. I had a $5,921 last week. So you got to take the good with the bad. If you've never owned a business of any kind, and especially trucking, if you think you're going to make the same flatline dollar amount every week, you probably don't need to go get a truck because you're clueless. You got to look at least at a 30-day number, at least.
And this guy that we're talking about too, I don't think he had a clue of how anything worked.
Will you please, I can't see the comments, so if his ass shows up tonight, you block him. You take care of that, all right?
Oh, absolutely. He's blocked on the cell phone, so he'll be blocked on here too if I see him.
Listen, you know what my number one fault is? I got a lot of good qualities, but I got some bad ones too. You know what one of my number one faults is? I'm 56 years old and I'm still trying to fix stupid.
Never gonna happen.
I'm a slow learner because I ain't been able to fix it yet, and I need to just quit trying. I ain't got no patience. I don't have no time for ignorance, guys. We drive a truck. We're running a trucking business. I'm trying to help all these other drivers to make sure they succeed. We have families. I have children. I have grandchildren. I have a family member that's dying right now. We have lives. I ain't got time to play games with you for a stupid $500 referral bonus, if I even get it. By the way, to be transparent now, I've had 3 in 18 months. You were one of them. Ron's one of them, and I got paid on Jose last week. Imagine that. Tell them how many hours I spend on a day on the phone, James, trying to help these drivers.
Minimum of 2 hours. Minimum of 2 hours.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah, that's on a good day.
Yeah, minimum. Or 4 hours or 2 hours. I'm sorry.
I got a truck. I got a driver right now that's broke down. Ain't none of my business, but I've been on the phone all night trying to help him.
Did you find out what his situation was? You want me to tell you?
I thought he ran it out of fuel because he said he was going down an incline and it shut off and it had 180 miles left on the dash he could drive. So he got a service truck. I had him diagnosed that there wasn't any fuel in the fuel filter. So I tried to walk him through. I guess on his truck, you can't on this one either. On a Peterbilt, you can cycle the key on and off and pump the fuel filter back full of fuel. But I couldn't get that to work, so he had to have a service truck. The guy told him he ran it out of fuel.
Yep.
And he got it going and took it to Love's and filled it up with fuel, and he went in to get a drink, and it died on the fuel island with full of fuel. So I don't know what's wrong.
I think it's just that he ran it short and it needed to be primed again. Once he got to the fuel island, it was so low to begin with. You know what I mean?
Well, I told him to check, and I'm not there. I hope on a Cummins X15 on a fuel filter, there's 3 O-rings, and if you let one of them O-rings, they're easy to come out, and you don't know it, and then you're gonna lose prime if one of them comes out. But I'm not there, I'm not there to deal with it. So all I can do is offer advice. I'm not there to do it or supervise I hope that got checked. But what I don't understand is, I guess the running out of fuel makes sense. I had a Peterbilt one time, brand spanking new Peterbilt at Averitt. And when that truck got to a quarter tank, it's empty. I ran it out first time at a quarter tank. When you got the quarter tank, it's shut off. It would not pull the last quarter of a tank. So these trucks are funny, and they're all different. Just because you got a Freightliner and I got a Freightliner, it don't mean they're the same.
I was just going to tell you, my truck is the exact same truck that Mike has. It's the sister truck. They're the same year, same everything. The only thing different is they're different colors. But mine, I can run all the way to 0, and it'll still run another 50 miles.
Well, what got him? He went off Mont Eagle, and that's 4 miles straight down, and all the fuel ran to the front of the tanks. Is what I think happened.
I think that's what happened too, honestly.
But I don't understand. If he primes it again on the fuel pumps and it dies again, it should. It's a brand new truck. The fuel pump shouldn't have quit. I don't know about an International. On a Freightliner, it only pulls fuel from. Well, no, that's not true. I guess it pulls from both tanks.
It doesn't on the International. It only pulls on the driver's side.
Huh. I think it pulls both on the Freightliner, but I could be wrong about that. If any of y'all know for sure, put it in the comments below so everybody will know.
Let me tell you a little story, and I just told Mike about this too. Last week, went to the fuel island to fill up. I had, I don't know, maybe a quarter, maybe just a little bit more than a quarter tank of fuel, and I put both nozzles on driver and passenger side, got them started. Well, somewhere between walking over to the passenger side, the driver's side must have clicked off. So I walk back around, and this whole time I'm thinking that the truck's filling up. Finish up the passenger side, hang it up, come back to the driver's side. It appeared to be full to me, but I didn't really get down and look or anything. But I looked up the gauge, and it said only like 80 or 90 gallons. I'm like, 80 or 90 gallons? I had a quarter tank. I'm like, I don't know, man, because, usually it's about 140, 145 is about all I can put in, even though they're 200-gallon tanks. So I go ahead and hang the pump up. Well, come to find out, the driver's side didn't get any fuel. When I got in the truck, it said it was still at a quarter. I'm like, how can it still be at a quarter if I just filled the thing up? So I turned the key off, cycled it through again. Same thing, a quarter. I'm like, I wonder what happened there. So I got out and looked, and I couldn't see the fuel, obviously, in the driver's side. So I thought maybe it's just not registering because it hasn't switched over because, they eventually even out. It never got above half. Even though I put, 90 gallons of fuel in there, it never went to half, which really surprised me. So that's how I found out that on the internationals with the X15, it's the driver's side that registers, not the passenger side.
Well, see, on this one, it's just on Freightliner. I do know this. It's the opposite because the reason I know is because sometimes if I just need a few gallons in an expensive area to get to a cheap area, I'll dump them in the driver's side, just one pump, 30 gallon, 40 gallon.
I do that all the time too.
It won't come up at all. And then as I drive down the road, it'll move to the other side and then it'll start showing up.
Yeah, I do that pretty frequently too. If I'm just going to
the fuel gauge on a Freightliner, I can tell you 100% is reading the right tank.
Right. Same here. Same here. So a couple comments. Cadillac Smith made a comment, and I agree with him. Rates are a race to the bottom. With all of them, come over and get a free truck, tax exemption for 7 years, and they can work cheaper. So basically, he's talking about our white Volvo crew is what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I have to be careful what I say because I just have to be careful what I say. But I have a lot of information that other people don't have. Let's just say that. And I know that I'm just going to make this a general comment so I don't get in trouble. A lot of customers are still trying to beat these carriers down on rates. This is not Facebook news. I know this stuff to be true. And it's not because, James, they're not making any money. I'm going to sound like a Democrat for a minute. Somebody needs to record this because you may never hear it again. These corporations are nothing more than greedy SOBs. They are kicking us while we're down. They got us down. They know they've got us down. We're hardly making it now, and they're still trying to beat us down more on the money. Not so they can make a profit. It's so they can pad their pockets, okay?
Yep.
It's nothing more than greed. And we all buy and need the product that they have, and I can promise you that you're not going to go. Let's say we cut them. Let's say we gave them a 25% cut. When you go into the store to buy their product, do you think they reduce the price of their product 25%?
Hell no.
You're an ever-loving fool if you believe that. And these CEOs of these companies, let's talk about them. See, I told you I was going to sound like a Democrat. These CEOs are flying around on $70 million jets, living in $17 million houses, while the working man can't even afford to buy a damn box of crackers and cheese. So I'm not. I tell you, I hate to. You and I talk about this all the time, and we try to be positive people, and we try not to dwell on the bad. But this country's effed up right now, and the working man. If you work a job and you pay taxes, please go to the polls and vote. Please go to the polls and vote, because these corporations, it's not just trucking, James. They're raping the American worker.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm 56, man. I'd like to think that America's not seen her better days, but man, some days it's hard to find a glimmer of hope, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I don't know. I try to stay positive. I want to stay positive, but you know, there's an old saying: if you want to see a change, you gotta make a change.
Well, a change
You
will
can't keep
definitely
doing
happen.
you can't keep doing the same stupid crap expecting a different result. You know,
Yeah.
we can't handle 4 more years of this, guys. We just can't. Financially, we cannot handle it. People are going to lose their houses. People are going to lose their cars, their trucks, and we all know what most people. I mean, most people watching this show are not 12 years old. They've lived through all these 4 year periods, and they know when they had it good and when they had it bad. You ain't got to tell them.
No,
So,
so my wife put on here. She says, "Thank you, Chris. Love you guys. Real guys only want the best for every driver." Life on 18 Wheels still has a analogy here that he thinks that Freightliners are the best. I don't know exactly what he's saying. They're ZBs. Chris Howard says Freightliner pulls from the driver's side tank, but as you're driving down the road, it pulls from the passenger side to the driver's side tank. Okay.
mine don't do that. Now, I'm not calling him no liar, but mine don't do that. Mine's just the opposite.
Hmm.
Well, let me be clear so I don't misspeak. I can fill the left tank and not put a drop in the right side, and my gauge won't move. But as I go down the road, that fuel will shift from the left tank to the right tank, and then the gauge will come up. So that's a fact. I can give you that for a fact.
We
So
got 11, we got 11 people on here. Been going 30 minutes. Anybody got any questions? I almost feel like that all of our question people don't ask anything anymore.
yeah, and they better ask because we and you got to get up and roll in the morning. I'm going to get home tomorrow. I've got a family member that's in their last days, and I want to get home and I'm going to roll out about 5 in the morning.
By the way, we're 6 people away from 1,000. That's pretty daggone good.
Yeah, and you know, we probably could have been there, but we don't ever say, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell, leave us a comment. All that stuff helps.
Well, let me explain to you how this works. And I know Country was going to talk to me about this and tell me how to grow the channel, but this channel has really grown organically because when you do pre-recorded videos, anywhere between 8 and 15 minutes long, that's where you start collecting a lot of people. A lot of people want to
Correct.
watch videos. When we do
Correct.
lives like this, I don't really gain anything when we do
Correct.
lives. Maybe
Correct.
10 people a month or something. So everything that we have done, we have grown organically, and really haven't padded anything. Even though we're
Yeah.
almost to 1,000 people, we really. I mean, just think if I really put out at least 1 or 2 videos a week, and I struggle just to do 1 or 2 lives a week, but I really need to try to do some pre-recorded videos. But everything we talk about, we do on the lives. I'm happy with the growth that the channel has because I feel like we're reaching out to people that are seeing us. I mean, we've had Alex has found us, Mother Trucker, Cash is King. Excuse me, he's been on here. He's found us. Of course, Country found us because I told him to watch. I really think we're getting out there to people that really don't want to don't really care about JB Hunt or SFI. I just think we're reaching to the right people. I mean, even Alex said
Hey,
that.
have you seen Tanner in here tonight?
I have not. I have not seen Tanner.
I got to meet. I don't know if I told you, James. I got to meet him today over in Arkansas.
Okay.
We were at the same customer, and really nice guy. First time I've met him, I've helped him a lot since he's been here. But first time I got to meet him, and just a super guy. And That's the good thing about coming over here. We're not just working together. We become friends with these people, and Josh, he's a regular on here. I don't know if he's on here tonight, but Josh is one cool dude.
Jermaine's on here.
Jermaine, I don't talk to Jermaine since I got him on Julie's board. He said, "No, boy, I don't need you. You just a middleman. I just deal with Julie." But he's got the best. Julie's the bomb. So she got 36 years experience. She's forgot more about JB Hunt than most of them know.
Brian
So
Jess just made a comment. He says, "What come of the load board rate changes you guys were talking about a while back?" With me being off last week, I haven't followed up on any of the videos. I'm assuming he wanted to know why we didn't leave and go to another company.
well, so here's the short answer. I can't give you the long term answer. I've not lived tomorrow. I've just lived today. There's a whole lot of people raised ever live in hell, and they put the old load board back up. And I haven't personally. I don't think they've cut the rates back down. We got our money back. I suspect at some point they will cut the rates back down, but we've been able to stay out of the broker freight, which is what he's talking about. Our customer freight they didn't cut, and we don't want to pull broker freight right now anyway. It's garbage. So as long as they'll leave us alone and let us run all customer freight, which they're doing right now, we're going to be fine. And I wasn't even upset that necessarily that they'd cut, and I told them this to their face, and I told them today to their face. I don't have a problem if they just come out and say, "Hey, we're losing money. We got to make more money. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." I understand that. I've been in business all my life. I own multiple businesses. I always have. What I didn't like and what I wasn't going to have is them lying to us. That's what set me off right there. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, now the ball's in my court. I can evaluate and say, okay, I can live with this. I can work here, or no, I can't, and then I go somewhere else. And no, there ain't gonna be no hard feelings because it's just business. But what I can't stand is to be lied to by people that I think that shouldn't be lying to me, and that's what caused the ruckus. But Kyle did call, and he told me the truth, and I respect that. Me and Kyle's never had crosswords at all. I have all the respect in the world for him. I hope he does for me. But as long as they'll let us run customer freight, that's the reason we're here. We're not dummies. We may look ugly, but we're not dumb. We know that our bread and butter's in the customer freight right now because those are locked in on contract rates. And when we pull broker freight, we're not pulling anything different than mom and pops are pulling that's running their own numbers. We're F2F advance. We're pulling for the same thing they're pulling for. And I'm just here to tell you, with an SFI truck, you can't pull for them rates. My truck payment's $4,200 a month. I cannot pull freight for $1.25 a mile. So it's smoothed out. All right, we found out what the problem was with the customer, and it was not an ingredient problem. They had switched their computer system, which was running their lines, and it didn't go well. And so that was the problem. And it's not perfect now, but it's, what would you say, James? We went from, I'm going to pick a number. You correct me if you think I'm off. We went from 30% or 40% of the loads getting canceled or moved up or moved back. We went from that probably down to maybe 10% now.
Well, I don't even think we have 10%. If you remember correctly, there at that particular location, they were moving loads ahead because they were so far behind. And
I thought the problem was fixed, but then I did have somebody that lost a load up there. I just can't. You're right. It's probably not 10%. And things happen in business. I just pulled the hottest load last night I've pulled since I've been at JB Hunt. They called me yesterday and they said, we got this load that really has to go. We'd like to pull your load off and give you this other load. And it's going the same place. And I said, well, why would I care? I don't care what trailer I pull. They said, you don't understand. This load's got to go. This load has been sitting at the shipper since last Friday, and the shipper didn't tell nobody. And 5 days later, the shipper wasn't our customer, James.
Yep.
The receiver was our customer. And the shipper had our receiver, who's our customer. They had the line shut down. Big deal. So I got a call from the head dude last night, 9 o'clock, and he said, don't know what your hour situation is, but that load's got to go. I said, well, you got it on the right truck. And he said, I know I do, but I need to know how bad it is. I said, well, it's like this. It's going to be there in 6 hours plus a 10-hour break, which I told him when I took it. I said, or I can log out and just run it straight up there. You know, Rodriguez can drive for a little while if you get my drift.
No, you're just doing super ego stuff here, buddy.
He said, I don't think we want to do that. I said, well, I don't really want to do it, but if you tell me it needs to go that bad, I'll do it. He said, let's not do that. I said, okay. I said, I'll get my shower off break. I said, it'll be there in 6 hours and 2 minutes, and it pretty much was. And when I pulled in up there, I don't know if I told you this. I've been like a chicken with my head cut off today. But when I pulled up to the guard shack, I heard him. I shut the truck off and opened the door, and I heard him on the phone. He said, that trailer you've been looking for is here. And it wasn't 2 minutes, and some big dude, I'm talking big dude like CEO, was out there and shaking my hand. You'd have thought Jesus Christ had showed up. He said, just drop it right there in the road. I don't even want you to back it in nowhere. So I got the red carpet treatment when I pulled in there. But
so let me read some of these comments. Our boy that we talked about earlier in the show showed up, and I deleted him just to let you know.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
So where am I at here? Pampero Furpo asked, I'm sure she's asking me, what happened with Christensen? I just found you guys. Well, if you just found us, why don't you like the video and subscribe? Second thing is, really, honestly, nothing happened at Christensen. I just couldn't make the money that I wanted to make there. It just seemed like every week I was ending up with about 25 to 2,700 miles. And the paycheck was, $1,700-1,800 almost every single week. I could never get past those numbers. As hard as I'm going to
tell you, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell them why, James, because I know you and I talk to you all the time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You did a lot of live load and unload over there, okay?
That's right.
In this down freight market, these customers are busting our testicles if we're late. And they will use that to beat you down on the money more than they've already beat you down. So these customers, Austin come from Prime. We was talking about this today. I have a lot of respect for Prime Inc. And he said I couldn't make any money over there because there was too much time on the loads. And I said, Austin, they don't have a choice. They don't know how long it's going to take to get loaded. They don't know how long it's going to take to get unloaded. And they cannot afford to have a service failure. Same thing at Christensen, James. Those are good people.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot afford to be late. So they're going to have to add extra time onto the load. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Was there not too much time on your loads?
Yeah, that was the other thing, too, is, I'd pick up a load on, a Monday, and it would be delivered on a Thursday, 500 miles. And they'd want you to sit on it for 3 days. Now, you can't make money like that. There's just no way.
No. Nope.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, if these were loads that were 500-600 miles, they were next day delivery. And even it wasn't really the live loads, unloads that was the deal. I'd say it was probably 60-40, 40% being the live unloads, live loads. Most of the time, it was drop and hook on one of the ends, Almost
The
always.
problem with the live stuff is you don't know. They can't. In Christensen's defense, they don't have a clue how long it's going to take. Now, what
Well,
we do over here, if we have to take a live over here, and Austin and I just did it today because he's debating taking a load out of Perry, Florida on Monday, and he called you about that.
yes, you
I
did.
said call James because
You
James has
remember
been
that
there.
load, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they set you in the dock 5 or 6 hours. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I told him, I said, call Julie because Julie can pull the history of that customer and she'll tell you what the average is. She'll tell you every truck's been in there since January. And he did. And she said it looked like 2 to 3 hours tops. Okay. So apparently, James, you just had a bad experience. Okay. Now, we don't like 2 or 3 hours. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
we can live with that every now and then because
Yeah.
in Austin's case, he's got to go up the road 200 or 300 miles to get his good paying load. He's going anyway. He might as well take this little crappy $400 load to make a little extra money, but not if you got to sit in the dock 6 hours.
That's right.
So he said, "What would you do, Chris?" I said, "Well, I'd probably go up there and get it one time because he's not pushed on his next 2 loads behind it." But what we do here to help you, see, that's what you get a regular CC. They probably don't even know how to go in the computer and tell you what the
Right.
history is. That's
Right.
That's why we tell you come through the system and do what we do, because I guarantee you. I mean, I'm just not. It's gonna sound arrogant. I'm not gonna go there. I started to throw a number out there that I could charge you a week to do what I do to help you, and it would be well worth the money. But that would sound arrogant, and I don't want to be arrogant. Um, that's why I got so pissed off at you know who about that. Him fussing about us getting a little bit of money from JB Hunt if you do what we ask you to do. It's not even about us getting the money, but do I think I'm worth something for what I do? Yes, I sure do. If that hurts your feelings, unsubscribe, block us, and get the hell off the channel. I don't know how much more blunt I can be about it.
Right. But back to Christensen, in their defense, I got to tell you, man, all the live loads and the live unloads I did there, I never sat more than 2 or 3 hours. I just hated to do live loads and live unloads, and I still do. That's why I try not to do them. But
Yeah, but there again, they have to put time on the load, James, because just because you had good luck don't mean that you can't go in there one day and Johnny Jump Up called in sick, and Joe Blow's dog had to go to the vet, and who knows what else.
in their defense, they're a great company. They're a great. I don't want to say a starter company because they don't take people, right off the bat. I mean, they're a pretty picky company about who they pick. But for a company, if you're okay with, making, $1,500-$1,800 a week, driving a brand spanking new Peterbilt loaded with everything, and really, I mean, you got a dispatcher that dispatch you. I could never go back to a dispatch model like that again. But
Yeah.
having a dispatcher dispatch you, they're not a bad company, honestly. You can even be a company driver there too, rather than a lease driver. Their lease, I mean, there's 2 leases that they have. I'd like to get the guy Rhett. He's the main recruiter there. I'd like to get him on the show one night and let him, talk about his company because, again, I mean, I had nothing but good things about him. I just couldn't make any money. I couldn't make the money that I wanted to make. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do take some risk, and there's a lot of paperwork that you don't have as a company driver. You have to maintain the truck. It's up to you to get the maintenance done. You have to take time out of your schedule to do that. So my point to all that is you don't want to do what we do and make company driver money. If you're just going to make in $1,800 a week, James, you can make that all day long as a company driver.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do that as a company driver. I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm averaging $2,500 a week take home. It's not worth it for what I do. But the only reason I'm not bailing out and I'm sticking around is because I know, especially if we can get this election to go the right way, it's going to turn around. And when it does, we're gonna be making bank.
Floodgates are
We're
going to
gonna be
open.
making bank. Yeah, and I'm in it for the long haul. I mean, otherwise I'd bail out. I could go to TMC and be a trainer and make $2,500 a week all day long, and not have to drive half the miles. Um, so that's why you weren't happy at Christensen with 1,800. You could go to Walmart and pull for them, make 2,000 a week.
Yep.
Be home 2 or 3 times a week during the week.
So JT680 says a friend of mine is starting with JB Hunt on Monday. I hope he makes some money. Well, he should have got in touch with us and we could have hooked him up. Big Cam says, what's the average gross at JB Hunt?
I don't know what the average is because we've got guys really seriously. We've got guys that don't gross but $3,200 a week because I hear about it from people inside. We have no way.
Too, though, you know.
Yeah, we have no way of knowing what the average is, and I don't know. I don't think that JB could tell us, or they probably couldn't even tell us. I bet they don't even track it. You'd be welcome to call recruiting and ask them. I don't know, but I'd almost bet you $100 bill they don't know, or they recruiting ain't gonna be able to tell you.
I think
our average.
Yeah, I was gonna say between the 10 of us or 11 of us or whatever guys we got, we're about what 5,000. You think?
About 5 a week. Yeah, about 20 a month. About 20 a month.
How can I get?
I mean,
who do you want to get in touch with, JT? Me or the recruiters?
I have some guys that's still in the 4s that are new, and they're going home every weekend. That depends a lot on it right there. But I have guys like me that do what I do that go home every weekend that's in the 5s, mid 5s. I told you 2 a while ago that's above 6 this week. But I don't ever want to shoot people high. My personal average is 55 a week, but I've been here 17 months. I'm not a rookie. I know what to do and what not to do. That's not to say I don't ever make a mistake, but I know where to go and I know where to stay out of. And a lot of it, we talk about this all the time, James, you and I. Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just luck. I mean, it's just being in the right spot, and then bam, there's that load that, I call them honey loads. All of a sudden, Joe Blow dropped the ball at his company and didn't ship something, and oh my God, this has got to go. And they'll pay whatever to get it moved, and you just get that one really. I had Mike on a really good load last week, or was it this week? It was last week. Was it last week or this week? He is
that the Brooksville?
I had him on a Florida load at Arkansas that paid $2,300, and he lost that load. Was that this week?
Yeah,
and he picked. Was it last week? He was able to jump on the load board and last minute. I mean, ready to go. He was sitting empty. Jumped on the load board and snagged a Walmart load from Memphis down to Tampa, and it paid $100 more than the great load that already had him on. So that was just luck. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm good at what I do, but sometimes luck is better than being good. I mean, I take it all day long. Come on, bring me some more of that good luck,
JT, you're asking, you said he's from Jersey and he wants to be regional, not sure it will work. Don't really understand that question, but if you see my number there, write it down. Give me a call tomorrow after 8 a.m. I'll be driving all day. And, I mean, we kind of it's kind of a regional thing that we run, but it's not technically a regional thing.
Well, we run the southern region because that's where we want to run. Let me say this to JT. We don't have a regional division, but you book your own loads, okay? I don't think this is going to be some great news flash, okay? Very few of our 1,400 drivers want to run where you live. We don't go up there under any circumstances, okay?
Yep.
So what I'm getting at by saying that is you can have the run of the mill from Connecticut to Massachusetts to Maryland. You
New
can
York.
run the whiz out of that. And you know what? Those loads pay good. You know why? Because nobody freaking wants to go up there. That's why.
Yeah.
And I tell you what you do. They offer a toll plan here. I don't have it. You don't either.
Nope.
Tanner's got it, but they offer a toll plan. If I lived up there, I'd take it. You pay $100 a week flat every week, and that's it. You can run $2,000 a week in tolls if you want to run them. So if you come here, I'd definitely take the toll package.
So Big Cam says he wants to know if that's before or after the 65%. When we said we did 5,000 gross, that's our price. That's what we get.
That's after the 65. That's after they get their 35. Yeah, and you know, and after we did that one show, James, with 18, I told you we was going to do this, and we ain't kept our word. I've not kept my word. Everybody else, Prime Inc., Landstar, they all talk to the truck, okay? We really should start doing that. So we do about 8,000 to 8,500 a week to the truck before JB's cut. We think it's better to tell you what our part is because it doesn't really matter. We can make 20,000 a week to the truck, and if JB takes it all, then what good does that do to tell you what the deal is? You know, that's why we talk our numbers. So glad you asked that question, JT. We do a lot of $10,000 weeks to the truck. We just don't get it all.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, it's crazy tonight because we were at 18 people at one time. Then it went down to like 6. Then it went back up to 10. Now we're back to 15. It's jumped around a lot tonight.
There's a lot to do. We're going to have to shut her down, though. If y'all got any, we've been going an hour. If y'all got any questions, fire away because we got to go to bed. Night, run this truck.
Pam Peril, if you're still on here, I hope I answered your question about Christensen.
Great company, James.
Yep. And Chris Howard. Chris Howard, are you still on here? I guess you probably are. Bull of the Woods, what's going on, buddy? I'm glad you're here. I hope that answers your questions, JT.
Did Nicole leave us?
Yeah, she probably did. She wasn't going to stay. She wasn't even going to come on, to be honest with you. Is there a lot of freight volume? I think for the most part there is, don't you?
Well, we don't really know. I will say this: we've never not had a load. I've been here 17 months. I've never laid over one single day anywhere.
Yep.
Well, that's not true. Let's tell the truth, Chris. My second week here, I messed up and I took a load to Phoenix, Arizona, out of Indianapolis. And I got up there on a Saturday night, and it was a good paying load, and I jumped all over it, and I didn't know my butt from a hole in the ground, and I didn't realize why it was a good load. And I got out there, and then after I got out there, I had to do a 34, and I found out you'll be lucky to get out of here. So I got up Monday morning and started looking for a load because I also didn't know to book my loads a week in advance. And didn't have any help here that would guide me and mentor me. And so I got up Monday, and I didn't get a load that day. I looked all day long and couldn't get out of there. I got a load the next day, and I left on Tuesday coming back, and I said, I'll never go back out there. Other than that one time, I've never laid over for a single day. So that's here's why we don't know, though. I'm watching this R&L set of doubles about to take this guy's hood off here. Why in the world he'd ever pull in a parking spot in a truck stop? You talk about brain dead. He's brain dead. But he is getting out to look. I give him credit for that. The reason we don't know the answer to your question is because when you do a search on a JB Hunt load board, let's say you do Charlotte, North Carolina for a 200-mile radius. they're only going to let it. I guess it's an algorithm. You're not going to see every load they have in that area. You're only going to see maybe 10 loads max. So it really matters what you put in the computer for a parameter, because if it's a real, let's say it's a real heavy freight area where we have a ton of freight. If you put in 50 miles, you're going to get 10 loads. If you put in 100 miles, you're going to get 10 loads. If you put in 250 miles, you're going to get 10 loads. So it can affect what loads you see, and without getting too deep into the mud, I've put in a radius before of 200 miles and get 10 loads and not see anything alike, and then I back it down to 50 miles and I get 10 loads, and there's a load 15 miles down the road from me that should have pulled up under the 200-mile parameter, but it didn't, because the algorithm is only going to show you 10 loads. And I mean, I probably muddied that up about as bad as I can, but I hope that answers your questions. I can't tell you how many loads we got because I don't get to see all the loads. Now, that's why you come to us. I can make a phone call, and I have access to every stinking load that JB Hunt has. So that's why you want to have us on your team. You know, I mean, I've been about as blunt as I can be about that. I mean,
do you see Jermaine's comment? He said he's done that many times too. He does it 10 to 50, and he gets something different from being 50 to 150.
Correct. Now look, if you're in a bad area that don't have any freight and you do that, you're not guaranteed to get 10 loads. If you're in Tampa, Florida, and you do a search for 200 miles, you might get 3 loads. I mean,
so that's all they're going to give. That's all they're going to give you is 10 loads.
Well, I just picked a number based on what I've seen. I mean, I've not written it down and literally tracked it like an analytical survey, but I just know about what I see, and it's 8 to 10 loads, maybe 12. I don't know the exact number, but you know, it goes back to what I said before when I said, and this is why we tell people the truth, and this is why I got so pissed off at Jerry. When you come here, JB Hunt doesn't lie to you. But most people come here thinking that they're going to get a load board and it's going to have every load on it that JB Hunt has. And JB Hunt won't lie to you if you ask them point blank, but they'll be happy to let you believe that. They're not going to volunteer to correct you. And I thought the same thing when I come here. The first day of orientation, the guy said, you won't see 5% of the loads that we have. And I thought, ooh, wait a minute. This ain't a load board. This is a load choice board. And I've stated this before, and I'm going to say it one more time. We got to go, James. We have a load choice board. And I believe, I can't prove this, but I don't think we have the server capacity to show 100 loads in a given area to every driver. I don't think we have the server capacity to do that. Now, I could be wrong, and they may just have chose to give us an algorithm and say, well, we're going to show them 10 loads. And I have done this, and I've explained this before, but, you know, sometimes we have new people that may not have seen the video when I said this. Let's take St. Louis. I have a driver that lives up in that area that I help, and I have done searches for loads for him, and I put in St. Louis and get X number of loads, and I don't like what I see with a 200-mile radius. I can back out of that and do Belleville, Illinois, which is 15 miles across the river, if that much, 10 and get 10 total different loads. So, do I think, I mean, I know I'm smart enough to know there's nobody sitting in J.B. Hunt's office going, oh, okay, well, he did a new search. Let's show him these 10 loads. It's all computer. It's all algorithm. I could ask somebody, I have enough contacts. I could ask somebody, why does it do that? And you know what? They can't tell me because they don't know. You know, who does know? The IT department? I don't know. So when somebody asks me, how much freight do we have? I don't know. All I can tell you is I've been here 17 months. I've never been without a load. Other than the Phoenix for 24 hours.
Yeah, you know what? I can say the same thing too. I've never not had a load either.
I tell you what, I'm not smart. I'm not smart enough to do it on the screen. I'm going to turn this camera off a minute. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
So I'm just going to do I'm sitting right now in Nashville. So I'm going to do a search of Nashville for tomorrow. And I'll just tell everybody what comes up. Okay? Is that fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do one. And Nashville, by the way, is not a great area for freight for us. It's not somewhere I'd hope to be trying to load. Let's do a 150-mile search for tomorrow. So it pulled 3 loads for tomorrow. And by the way, all 3 loads are broker loads. I can tell by looking at them. You don't want to pull broker loads. Now, the reason our load board's like this, for people that don't know, is they don't post loads but between the hours of 11 o'clock Eastern, you'll see new loads start coming up until about 2 p.m., and that's it. So what happens is all the customer freight gets gobbled up, and all that's left is broker loads. Right now, okay, so I stretched it out to 200 miles, and I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 loads. Okay, now let's out of those 11 loads, that's broker. No, that's a customer right there. I'm sorry, that's a customer. Broker, customer. So here's a load from Von Orr, Tennessee, which is just south of Knoxville. Going to Rossford, Ohio. It's a drop and hook on the back end. The rate on it is only $2.16 a mile. But see, you got to remember, guys, at this time of night, there's no point in getting on the load board tonight because all that's left is the loads that's already been picked over. So you have to be very diligent here about when you're on the load board. It doesn't do you any good to live on there. Now, let me say this, James.
Mm-hmm.
If a driver books a load and then he finds a better one, or he decides he can't make the pickup or the delivery, and he pulls that load or gives it up, those loads will show up at the very moment that he gives it up. So you can get one of those at night sometimes, and you've done that.
Oh, yeah,
You've called me at night and said, oh, man, I just landed a good load, and you did, but you got lucky. You bought a lottery. That's not how you make money here. The way you make money, plan in advance, and you book your loads. Right now, I'm booking loads for next Thursday, and it's Thursday. That's how you make money. So,
well, guys, let's. Ed says 3 to 4 you get good loads. He says, but you got to be ready to go. That's true. Jermaine's always saying that he's doing really well. We've taught him a lot. He's always trying to find the sweet spot. Jeremy said company drivers get all the good loads, and I told him that the company drivers are all dedicated. They don't work off of our load board.
Yeah, we don't have company drivers to compete with.
I think we need to shut her down, man. We're at an hour and 5 minutes. If anybody's got any questions, let's pop them up right now. We're going to shut her down.
Thank y'all for the questions. Thank you for a good show. Y'all are what makes the show.
Always feel free to call me. That's why I put the number on the screen.
Yeah.
You ring, and I'll give you as much information as I possibly can. We'll figure out if it's a good fit for you. We'll try to get you to our recruiters. And just like we always tell you, if you really want to come over and you want to get an SFI truck, please contact us first so I can tell you how to do it. Because what happens is, and again, we'll repeat it. I know it's repetitive. If you call a recruiter and you get stuck with a recruiter, which will always happen if you call without calling us and not calling our recruiter, then you're going to be stuck with a dispatcher for about 30 days, and we're not going to be able to help you. If you want our help and you want to come in and you want to be successful, you need to go in our way. And it's not, and yes, we do get paid, just like I said before, it's a small pay. The company pays us for referrals. It's not about that. It's about getting you put with the right person so you guys can be successful. Like we said, we got, 10 or 11 people now that are on our board that do what we do.
And also, they only pay us for 12 a year, and then we don't get paid anything after that. So we're already busting that. We're pushing that already. But it's not about the money, guys, but it's disrespectful to us that we do what we do to help you, and then you act like it's a big deal if JB Hunt gives us a small check. And, hey, if it offends you, you go get you a recruiter and do it your way. But don't call me when you're failing and ask me to help you.
So Brian Jess just put something up here. He just looked at his JB load board. When you said it showed 3 loads in Nashville, 100 to 200 miles, it showed 8 loads for him. But what he doesn't understand, his load board is different than what we have. And I've tried to tell him that before. The load board that you're looking at, Brian, is the load board for the guys that have their own authority, that are the white Volvo crew. And I've told you that before. It's not the same loads that we have. You're looking at the loads they get. Our loads are completely different than what you got.
Yeah. Not our. Let's expound on that.
Yep.
We pull a lot of the loads he pulls, but when I do a search like that, I just told you what loads there would be for an IC running JB Hunt numbers,
right?
That don't have help. Out of all the loads we pull a week, how many loads you pulling this week?
I've got 3 this week, but should have been 4. I usually between 3 and 4.
So let me think about mine. Where did I left out Monday. I ran up to Columbus, Ohio, grabbed a trailer, and took it to Charlotte. That load I booked off the load board. The load that I took Tuesday from Virginia to Dallas, I got off the load board. But that's very unusual for me, as you know. My third load from Dallas to Arkansas wasn't on the load board. The load I'm on now wasn't on the load board. And a lot of weeks I'll run 4 loads or so. I'll run 6 days on 4 loads. Sometimes I'll run 5 loads, and none of them's on the load board. So I just did a search for you that you would get if you didn't have help. And keep in mind, I have what's called the premium board. So they're gonna load my board up with broker loads big time. That's why I had all those broker loads on there, and I just don't pull those loads. Just don't pull them.
Well, let's cut her down, man. I don't see any.
Let's do it. Thank y'all for a good night, and I'm sorry I didn't get here last night. I don't know what you told them or didn't tell them, James. I went to get that hot load. And as you may or may not know, when we go to do a dropping hook and we pick up a load, we have to take them an empty trailer to leave when we get the loaded trailer, so they have another trailer to load. Well, the trailer I was leaving them, the only trailer I could take them, I couldn't get another one, had a tire flat, plumb off the rim. And so I had to deal with that on top of getting that hot load. And so I just couldn't do. And on top of that, I dropped at time to go live. I dropped at Dallas, and the customer was already telling me to get off the yard, because there wasn't any. They were so full that you couldn't move. I couldn't even do my paperwork there. I fired an email to the night manager and I said, "Hey, I'm empty, but I can't send you no paperwork for a while because there's nowhere to do it." And I drove 20 miles to the next load, and I was looking for a place to pull off on a ramp or pull off anywhere to send my paperwork, and there was just nowhere. And then I got to the customer to pick that load up, and it was the same thing there. Total chaos. The yard looked like a bunch of fire ants running around. Couldn't do nothing there. Couldn't send my paperwork. I had to drive another hour and 20 minutes until I parked for the night before I could do anything. So I just couldn't. We love to do YouTube. We love to visit with you guys, but you got to remember we're running trucking companies, our own little trucking company. So
Big Cam asked a good question. He said, "Can ICs park their trucks at OCs?" I don't know.
At where?
Can we park our trucks at the JB Hunt terminals?
Man, they're funny about that. I mean, I've never been told I couldn't sleep at a terminal, but I have been told I couldn't take a 34-hour break there. So back when, it doesn't affect me because I don't do 34s on the road anyway. I go home. But they just let me know, hey, if you're just sleeping here for 10 hours, that's fine, but you can't do no 34 here. And I was like, well, I don't do 34s anyway. So having said that, my gut answer would be no, because if they don't want you taking a 34-hour break there with the truck, they're not going to want the truck sitting there 34 hours either.
Yeah. Life on 18 wheels says there's always a load, just a heavy one. And Brian says, yeah, he understood. I think there was just a little miscommunication about that on the load boards. Did you snake to get the tire back on? That's what 18 wheels is saying. Did you?
I didn't put the tire back on. I drug it to the customer. I didn't run the speed. I didn't run the speed limit. I slowed down. I ran about 55 for 20 miles. It was an inside tire, and I called, as soon as I dropped it, I called breakdown, and I said, hey, I just dropped a trailer here. It had already been written up, but I wanted you to know I'm on a hot load. I had to get here and get it. They wasn't going to give me the load if I didn't bring a trailer. You need to get somebody out there immediately and change that tire. And they said, no problem, boss. We got you. Roll with it. And so I didn't do any. I just drug it up there and dropped it. And it had already been, I knew it had been written up at Dallas because when I went to do a pre-trip on it, it red flagged it. So I took it anyway. And I got it up there and got my load so that I could take care of our customer, because I hate to sound mean, but I didn't give a crap what they thought in Plano, Texas, because I was servicing a customer of ours in Arkansas. And so, but I did the right thing. I told Breakdown, I said, you get them out there and get that tire changed so that another driver doesn't go pick up a loaded trailer with a tire off the rim. And that's one thing I'll say about JB. When you send them, if you do it, I called, but if you do it on the computer, there's a box, or on your phone, there's a box you can check, and they'll actually email you and let you know when that trailer's fixed so that you know it got done. And I've been here 17, 18 months now, and they've always been good. I mean, when I check that box, I mean, it ain't usually 4 hours, and I get a message that trailer's been fixed. They don't let stuff ride.
Let's cut her down, man, so we can get some
rest.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
See you later, guys.
La vista.
Till next week. Bye.